Hello, everybody. It's Deb here, back with the Deb Talks on our podcast. Today is our fifth talk in the series of A Course in Miracles with Moreah. And once again, so happy to have you, Moreah. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about practicing living in the moment. So I'm sure listeners have heard about this a lot. I myself have listened to many different teachers about this and also through yoga, just living in the present moment. And we've heard from so many different people about how only this moment is real. So I'm very interested to hear Moreah's take on, and also A Course in Miracles take on living in the moment. So without further ado, here she is, Moreah. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me again, Deb. You know that I love to talk about Course in Miracles, and living in the moment is a wonderful topic. And when we really reflect on it, we can see how much trouble we can get ourselves into by not living in the moment. And so the Course in Miracles speaks of this, and it makes reference to it as the holy instant. And when we think of the word holy, we can think of it from a standpoint of being, like Jesus was holy, or, our divinity is holy. But the Course in Miracles is talking about the holy instances, understanding the whole of it, like the oneness of it. And I love to do this sometimes in my morning meditation. I think about this moment and I enter it fully. And there's no thoughts of anything because I'm just here. And then I realize the entirety of the humanity is experiencing this moment with me now. And even though people forget to be in the moment because they're worried about what they're going to do later in the day, or they're reflecting on someone that did something hurtful to them in the past, their freedom can come from being in this moment. And the Course in Miracles teaches us that it is a powerful tool, in particular for relationships. Okay. And when I had my private practice, I would get couples that would come to get resolution or clarity on each other and the troubles of the relationship. And I would show them something that you could see their egoic, or the lower part of the mind, because of Course in Miracles speaks to us that says we really live with two minds: the higher mind, our divine self, the higher self, Atman, whatever you want to call it, the real essence of our being, our spiritual light. And then we have the lower part of the mind, which gives us the experience of the physical universe. And the lower mind lives in the dimension of past and future. And the higher mind is always of the eternal now. So when couples would come to me with struggles that they would have, I would say, but those struggles happened in the past, and the past isn't here.
Yes, that can be very difficult for people, to accept, and because we live so much in our mind, and they're not even aware that they're living so much in the mind, in the past, in the future, because it becomes their truth and it becomes their reality. So they kind of like almost don't believe you when you say that to them.
Well, there's a deeper reason that a person doesn't want to take on. So let's say, for instance, I meet a couple and they're bickering about all kinds of things that aren't important, the toothpaste, and he doesn't pick up the socks. He doesn't help me around the house, and she never compliments me. And they're sitting and they're telling me the story. And I say to them, listen, what you're describing to me is behaviors that you have, expectations that you have from each other. And we've talked about that, about special relationships that people are lives with individuals that we can project our guilt on them. So the past holds the guilt, because we don't have guilt about our future. We have guilt about our past. So I say to this couple, okay, since that you can only use your memory to think about these quarrels and struggles that you're having. But your memory can also be used in a very positive way, which we'll come back to. But I said, none of that's happening right now. I have two people sitting here, and if you have open hearts and you want to transform your relationship, each of you can completely let go of the behaviors of each of you have been doing to each other. And in this moment, accept your innocence. Both of you can be innocent right now and be free from all of this. And you can see the struggle in their faces. I've just offered them a tremendous gift, a gift of freedom.
Yes.
And the person doesn't want it, because at some level we want to hold the guilt and the blame and the shame on one another.
Mm-hmm.
And we can only do that by remembering the past hurts that we've done or people have done to ourselves. So we have, the Course in Miracles says, you have a holy gift of this moment where you can set free your past. And you can set free your past by setting free the past of the person that you're in struggle.
The other person. Yes.
So it's an incredible tool that couples could be using in their relationships, and you could be doing it in all of your relationships, coworkers, with siblings, your neighbor. If you make the decision to say, I choose to let it go because it's not now. I don't need to hang on to this memory.
So I have a question about that, because personally, I've experienced that where, okay, in this moment I let go, in this moment I let go and give myself that gift of freedom, and so for the other person as well. But what happens is when we go back into our day-to-day life and we become, again, a little bit unaware, as we do in our day-to-day life, we become a little bit unaware that we're in the mind, which takes us vacillating between the past and the future. And what happens to us is we tend to go back in the old habits and patterns because it's familiar. And the moment we become unconscious, they take over. So then what needs to happen is we have to make that choice every moment when we catch ourselves out, right? And I think, and that can be the challenge for people. I think in the moment, people are quite happy to say, yes, in this moment, I'm free. In this moment, I make the other person free, and so on. But then to continue with that is usually the where the problem comes in.
Well, I don't know. My experience was when I do it frequently, even in my own marriage, we can have an argument and I can say to him, well, why don't we come back to the holy instant? And it was a challenge because my husband would say to me, he goes, well, hang on here. He goes, you were in your ego and you weren't being very nice. And I think that you need to acknowledge that. And I said, I can acknowledge, yes, I was departed from my spiritual self, but right now we can let it go. We can together let it go. And it took time because we at a very deep level, the egoic mind, the personality, wants to hang on to the wound. It wants to hang on to punish ourselves. It wants to punish the other. And if we look at this, the Course in Miracles says the reason that you want to punish is because of the guilt you feel because you think you've separated from God. And in a memory, so far you can't even access it, is this belief that you've separated from God. And so now you use your relationships to mitigate your guilt and project it onto other people. The holy instant is the freedom from all of it. But when you say we go back into our lower mind, the separated mind, past and future, and then we don't want to, we forget that. And we forget
and we just act, we just react and so on.
We do. We become reactionary but that's not to say that the moment that we become conscious, and we can tell that by how we're feeling emotionally, because when we are living in the holiness of this moment, whole, meaning the light and love is here in this moment. Everything we need is here for us in this moment. And so when we become conscious and we allow that to flood our being, we set ourselves and the world free. And so it is one of the most powerful tools that the Course in Miracles teaches us, is the use and the application of the holy instant. And the Course in Miracles talks to us about that is accepting the atonement, which means there is no space. There's only now. There is no past and future. There is only this moment.
That's pretty big. So perhaps there's some listeners listening here. And I loved how you said when you and your partner have an argument and you both can come back and say, this is the holy instant. Let's come back to the holy moment, this holy moment. And then you can let it go. So there might be listeners listening out there, and they might be wanting to start living like this. And then, like, how do they, if they have a partner who's not perhaps reading A Course in Miracles, or who's not, who doesn't understand any of this stuff that we just talked about, they don't live it, they don't read it, nothing. So if you have a partner and you're in an argument, and like, what can you say to those people who are just on their own, trying to create this holy moment for the relationship, even if the other person is not aware of it?
And the Course in Miracles speaks to this, and it says that because the Holy Spirit is in our mind, and it's the mind we share. So because either party, whoever's more sane at the moment, can just quietly say to themselves, to the Holy Spirit, I need a miracle, because this is a miracle. I need to come back to this moment. I want to forgive the past. I want to forgive the egos, both of our egos. You do it at the level of the mind. You don't have to verbalize it to the other person. You need to just do it in yourself, because mind is, and it will register at the level it needs to register in the other individual. Because when we're Course in Miracles students, we don't run around saying to everybody, I forgive you, you're holy, you are as God created you. You think those things. You don't go around
telling people. Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so that's good to know. I'm glad I cleared that one up for us.
Yes, and I think for those individuals, and there are maybe many of our listeners where one of them are more dedicated to their spiritual path or doing spiritual work, regularly meditating, doing yoga, going fishing. You can meditate while you fish. It doesn't matter. And your partner isn't doing that role from what you can see at a physical level, at an active level, is irrelevant, because what they're doing, their innocence is absolute. The Course in Miracles says you are as God created you. There's nothing you can do to alter your identity. You can think that you're a person trapped in time and space, but that doesn't mean it's real. It just means that you're having the experience. And the Course in Miracles says to us, you dream at night, you people your dream. You are all of the objects in the dream. You are yourself. You are the attacker or the savior, whatever kind of dream you're having. You are all of it. Mm-hmm. So it shows us that we are the cause. And the same is true in our physical incarnation. We are the cause. We are the cause of the dream that we're having. And the relationships that we're having within the dream are reflections of guilt and fears and anxieties that we have, that we project onto one another. And when we realize, oh, I'm doing this, then we can re-enter the holy instant, because we don't do that. We feel guilt and shame because we think we've separated from God, which can't have happened, because the fact that we have a mind, the fact that we are aware that we exist is God, so that the separation never occurred. And so the Course in Miracles says, you're trapped in time and space in your belief system, but now is your reality, because the love is here now. You are free now. You are innocent now. There's nothing to do but accept what is already done for you.
Yeah, that can be hard, I guess, for a lot of people, because I think that one of the hardest things for us is to recognize that when we get hurt, or when somebody triggers pain in us, or did something that we think hurt us, and it's very hard then for people to recognize and understand that's about you, that the other person didn't really do anything to you. Can you talk a little bit around that? Because that would probably be one of the hard, that's what I found people struggle with a lot, is that they just can't accept that other person did nothing to them, that it's all them. Like you just said, we are creating it all. What would you say to those people who are still stuck in that belief because the pain is so much, and they believe so much the other person did it to them or created suffering for them? And it's really just, they're in this illusion that the other person did it, and they won't let go of that belief. So therefore they also can't become free from it.
Again, when we have to say the person, the Course in Miracles is very clear. It says, God didn't create the physical universe and your body. God made you light. God made you spirit. God made you eternal. That is who you truly are. And we are, the Course in Miracles says, the reason you see what looks to be all these bodies around you with all these separate minds is it's a manifestation of that was the illusion that we could separate from God and be separate from it. And so the physical world as we see it through the eyes of the body, it is our proof. It's the way that we keep our egos intact. It's the way that we live,
perpetuate.
As separate people. But the Course in Miracles says you are innocent. That's an absolute. Everyone around you is innocent. That's an absolute. The reason that you want people to be guilty, or you feel that you are guilty, is because you're dreaming a dream of separation from each other. The Course in Miracles says, the mind that is in me is in you, Deb. So if the Holy Spirit is lit in my mind, it is lit in your mind, because we're sharing the same mind. I like to liken it to a strawberry. I often think of the sonship as a strawberry, and all the little black seeds that you see is each of us, but we together are the strawberry. So when you think of it that way, the Course in Miracles tells us that when you have grievances, it is because you believe in bodies. You can't be hurt. I can't be hurt. You can do an attack upon the body because the mind dictates that it's got guilt or shame or blame and make the body act it out. But mind can't attack. It can't. The nature of mind is unity. The nature of mind is light. The nature of mind is oneness. There's nothing else to attack. It is one. And so when people are suffering in relationships, it's because they have become too body identified and not enough with the spiritual identification.
So I'm going to ask this question that might take us on a little trip here. So why do you think that our egos created this reality then? Like, why is it taking us on this trip? Because it seems to be only pain and suffering.
Well, you know, when I think about it, and if you think about it for a moment, and I used to say this to my Course in Miracles study groups, and I said, if you think about it, you had everything. When we were, before the idea of separation crept into the mind, and which in the Course in Miracles it says, to which the Son of God should have laughed. It should have been laughed away as insane. But over millions of years, it said that we began to engage that idea. Well, what if it were true? Well, you're going at some level, you know, you could laugh it off. And in some spiritual religions, it's considered a joke, and that nothing in the physical world, any tragedy that happens, is just, it's all non-existent, so that you could laugh it off. And so when we over millions of years started to believe or say, what if it was true? What if it was true we could be something that we're not? What if it was true that we could be self-made? What if it was true that we could disconnect from God? What would the world look like? Well, look around. That's what it looked like. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's a little shit show.
Yeah. So the Course in Miracles says the ego doesn't even really exist. It is a false identification. And it is necessary for us to have the experience of time and space. Without the body, the dream of time and space goes away. We remember that we are light, that we are eternal, and that we live in the real world where all is love and union. So the ego, as much as it feels like it's so real, it isn't real, but it is necessary for us to experience time and space. And since there's some part of the soul that wanted to experience time and space, hence that's why we're here. We are here doing the work. And the Course in Miracles says you'll go through a transition. At first, when people pick up the Course in Miracles, their life is usually a bit of a mess. And so they go to the Course in Miracles for a transformation. They want out of the pain that happens from past and future, guilt and shame and blame. And they want peace and the separation, and they want peace. And so over time and through their very specific curriculum, which the Course in Miracles says, each of us have our own curriculum to our own awakening. And so over time, we become more spirit identified, more love connected, way more forgiveness identified, and saying we can forgive the ego, we can forgive the illusion of separation, because that's all we're ever doing is forgiving ourselves for the illusion of separation, which seems to be other people doing things to us, which it's not. That's the illusion. That's the part that isn't true. And so the ego can be surrendered simply by dismissing it, by realizing it's an illusion. It's not real. It's like when we dream at night. When we wake up in the morning, we don't spend the whole day pondering the dream because we realize, oh, it's not real. And the Course in Miracles says the same thing. Your physical experience of yourself as a body in time and space isn't real. It's literally a hallucination of a mind that's gone insane through the belief in separation.
Yes. And if you really, even with your logical mind, if you think on it, like whatever happened yesterday or the day before, there is nowhere, there is no place where you can hold on to it. There is no place for it, except there's a place in your mind. And that's the only place where it lives. So if you really think on it logically, actually, it doesn't make sense that this experience is real, because if it was, then it should have been real for yesterday and the day before, but only this moment is real. So therefore it's so clear then that we're living in this kind of illusion, and yes. the only place where you can grasp it a little bit is in the now. Yes, this holy instant.
Yes. And so this, the Course in Miracles says you are in an eternal now, an eternal now. So yes. Your full existence has always been experienced in this moment, with or without your body.
Yes. And the whole world, and the whole world seems to be, get out of whack, because we focus so much on everything that goes wrong with the body. Like, there's this illnesses that goes wrong, and people are on deathbed, or people get killed, or these seems to be the things that get people out of whack. But the body is here for a limited time, as we know, like we all know it. And yet we're trying so hard to hold on to the body and the experiences of the body. And you can't, yes. Because you're having an experience of the body through time and space. So there's nowheres to hold on to it.
Correct. And so the Course in Miracles says that the body is, when the mind is healed, the body is well. So sickness is a form of the belief in separation. That's what all the sickness is. And it doesn't matter if it's a common cold or if it's leukemia. In the Course in Miracles, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. Truth is true. Love is present here now. And there is no separation. Those are the truths. And so when we believe that we are separate, running around in our separate bodies, that is an attack thought. And then the body manifests that. So the body is never ill. The mind is ill, and it manifests its illness through the body.
I gotcha.
So our body can be used, in the Course in Miracles, it's meant to be used as a communication tool. Our bodies are meant to be enjoyed as an experience.
Yes.
It's a learning tool to the mind. It is not identification. And when we sit in stillness in this moment, we do get a sense of being lifted out of our body. And most of us have had some experience somewhere along the way where you felt yourself much greater than what your body could contain.
Yes.
And those experiences are a holy instant.
Eternal. Because the body is kind of limited, isn't it? I mean, it's very limited in what it can experience. It's very limited in what it can know. It's very limited in how it exists. And so that should give us an idea that we are this unlimited, having an experience of the limited.
Absolutely. And the body, the Course in Miracles says there's no creative level to the body. It's all at the level of mind and spirit. And we see that. I mean, once the spirit has left the body just sits there. And then the laws of time and space take over, because we're in a shared, we're having a collective dream of time and space in the physical universe and bodies. And then that belief of aging and decay starts to give us the manifestation of watching a body decay. But in the real world, we're told nothing dies. Everything is eternal.
Yeah.
And in the world,
everything that's truth is eternal. So if there's something which is not truth, it's not eternal. And that's how you know. That's how you know between the illusion and the reality.
Right. And the past isn't real.
No.
The future isn't real.
Not real. Yes. Yes.
They're both a dimension of the illusory mind. The only thing that's real is the higher mind that is present in this moment.
Yes. And when you reach that higher mind, when you have a connection, when you have a clear, connection to that higher mind, then your eyes kind of open to this lower mind where you can see, oh, okay, that really was never real. Because once you're connected to the higher mind, then you can see all these things around you.
Right. And that's why so many people have the experience of pain in relationships, pain in, it doesn't matter. There's so many forms of pain. It's because they start to realize I'm using and living in my lower mind, which is pain
and suffering. Yes.
And so you look at the state of the world and going, it's no wonder that you have all these people in such pain. And spiritual. I mean, we're in a spiritual crisis to no end. I mean, there's so many people starved for their spiritual essence, because there's so much emphasis on the body and on the form, and the body form implies guilt and shame, blame, all of it. And so
yes,
as we awaken, we recognize that the only reason that we need to use our memory is to remember the loving things that we've given and received.
mm-hmm.
To use memory to hold on to guilt and shame and blame for ourselves or for others is insane, because we want to be happy.
It is insane, and yet we do it over and over again. And I think the illusion that we're holding it against someone else, is more insane, because you're only hurting yourself with that, because the other person doesn't even know what you're holding sometimes.
Many times they don't, but I mean, we're hurting ourselves because there's only one of us here. There's only the divine essence that was created from God that's here. And so if we hold an attack thought, we attack ourselves first, as we're told, because it's in our mind. So we're the first experiencer of it. And so when you really start to think about it, you're going, wow, I'm holding all these grievances, have all this guilt, all this blame, towards anything in my past. You're hurting yourself.
Yes.
Why continue when you have the freedom of this moment saying, I let it go. I let my past go. I let the past of everyone around me go. I let myself be innocent, because I was created innocent, as was everyone else. In an instant, you can be free.
Yes. Oh, and that's so wonderful.
And yet you say it and you think, and you're going, wow, that seems to be too good to be true. And you're going, well, your ego certainly doesn't want that. Your ego,
literally, it's like, because it's so simple, we don't even believe it, because our mind made it up that it has to be so difficult. It needs to be something over there that you have to reach for, but it's already yours. You just have to make the choice. And I guess that's the gift of us being human, is that we have the choice. You have the choice. In this moment, you can accept the holy instant.
Yes, you can just you can accept your freedom and your divinity, or you can accept your limitation and your pain.
Well, I'm putting up my hand. I'm accepting 110%.
Absolutely. And as each of us have the opportunity, as you're listening, whenever you're listening to this, you have an incredible gift that the Holy Spirit has in your mind. And it says, in this moment, you can be free as you free the world.
Yes, because I think a lot of us, we're trying to figure this out with the mind, and that's where the problem was created, in the mind. So there's no place there to fix it, because there's really nothing to fix. Just remember, like Moreah just said to us, it's really a big, big, big gift, I have to tell you, to make a decision that in this moment, you're going to accept the holy instant, the holy moment. And if any attack thoughts or any negative thoughts come into your mind that you think you want to attack someone else or blame someone else, just use this holy instant and become free. When you become free, you give permission for the others to become free. So it's up to us. And like Moreah also said, you don't have to go to people and tell them, I forgive you, or this is a holy instant, or I'm choosing the holy instant. You just do it. And as a result, you're going to see your whole life around you is actually going to shift. It literally is going to shift. You're going to be blown away by the power of this holy instant.
Absolutely.
Moreah, I want to thank you so much. I love, love, love talking about these concepts and ideas that comes from A Course in Miracles. We thank you so much. This has been such a fantastic month of August, where we've had once a week the privilege of Moreah guiding us through the A Course in Miracles, and we will definitely have her back. So during the next few months, we're going to have her on again. For sure, because the stuff is so interesting. I mean, I look at my book, my Course of Miracles book, and it's very thick, and I don't think in my life I will ever get through it. So we're always going to have opportunities to talk about it. So Moreah, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. And for our listeners, it's such a privilege that we could have had you for these last few weeks. And we look so forward to having you back with us again. And I will put all the details in the bottom of this podcast. And again, where you can get A Course in Miracles. It's very simple. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. You can just go and order a book. I think it costs like $20, something like that. Really not expensive. And just start. And you'll see when you start with it, maybe in the first few months you don't get it, but just continue with it, because I didn't get it in the first few times when I read it. Just keep reading it and, think